Hello, welcome back. Thanks for stopping by the Story Corner. We're glad to have you here. I just do read. I read just a chapter or two out of some of my favorite books every night, mostly to connect with my children that live 2,000 miles away. And we used to read every night when they were little, and we loved it. So we try to connect when we can, and this is a fun way to do that. So we're in the middle of Evelina by Fanny Burney. It's excellent. I love it. I think it's a very underappreciated book. It's so cute. But before we get started, I always like to ask, what did you have for dinner, or what are you going to have for dinner? Depending on where you're at and what time it is. We had pot pies, just plain old pot pies with cottage cheese. You buy the little frozen ones. I had a crazy day, and I was working for hours up to and through dinner, and I had a big team meeting and a bunch of stuff I had to do for one of my bosses for one of my part-time jobs. Anyway, it's crazy. So I didn't make anything yummy, which is very unusual. I usually make from scratch yum food, but pot pies and cottage cheese for us. I did cut up some fruit and make a fruit dip after, so we had that, and that was yum. Also, I make things and sell them. I have an online store, which is in my bio. If you click on my picture, whatever it's called, the icon, it'll take you to my homepage, and there's a link. So if you want to check out my store, I would appreciate it. And then I like to show off a few things I make before I get started. So mostly I do jewelry, but there's a lot of other stuff too. So these little earrings, super cute. So they have the feathers hanging off of them, but then they have little dried flowers in them. I know this camera is not the best. Come on. And it's kind of hard to tell, but they are really, really cute. Anyway, so those are cute, kind of a little more dangly ones. And then I have this is really cute. I do a lot of little girl and little boy jewelry, like children's jewelry. They love it. I used to do a lot of craft shows and fairs, and they love it. The children love finding something for them because, everywhere you go, there's always all the adult stuff, but the kids love it when there's something for them. So I sell a lot of little children. So this is a little girl necklace. It's on a real short chain, and it's a cute little mint blue green little bear necklace. So cute. So there's that. And then this is what the little boys like. It's not on a chain. I haven't actually made it into a necklace yet, but I'm going to. It's a dragon. Pretty cool, right? I'd like to give a more solid black background, but with silver wings, a black dragon. So kind of cool looking. And, when they wear it, it's about that size. I mean, obviously bigger on a small child, but they love them. The little boys, dragon necklaces, I think they're so cool. So those are fun. So that's a couple of things that I make. Now to get to the reading, we have, let's see, we're in chapter 28, I believe. 28? Yep, 28. So, little recap. So the last letter was so Evelina, her grandmother wants to go to the law and sue her father, basically, and force him to acknowledge her as his daughter and his heir so that she can inherit his fortune and be given his name, because she goes by Evelina Anville, but her father is John Beaumont, but he abandoned her mother, tore up the marriage certificate, and there weren't any witnesses because they eloped and said, yeah, we were never married. And so hasn't taken care of her ever. She's never met him. Anyway, her grandmother wants her to go confront him and get her rightful name and fortune and all that. And she's very scared. She doesn't know whether she wants to do it or not, because of course, she would want to go meet her father, but at the same time, he abandoned her. So what if it's this terrible experience and he treats her bad, and then she's devastated for the rest of her life? So she doesn't know what to think. And so the last letter, it was a short one, but it was just Lady Howard explaining to the Reverend Mr. Villers. Oh my goodness. Sorry, my children are so loud. I'm sure you can hear that. And the beeping. I'm sorry, it is annoying. And so I had the smoke detector in the kitchen was beeping, and you have to put in a request. They take the square batteries, and we don't have any, and we live in an apartment, so technically they're supposed to maintain all that stuff. So you have to put in the request, and then you have to wait until somebody comes in, and it takes them 2 minutes. They change the battery, right? But sometimes it's a couple of days before they can get to it if they have a lot of requests. So it just started beeping last night, so I put in a request today. But the dumb thing is we just got the battery replaced in the other one week ago, and then this one started chirping. It kind of makes me mad. I wish we would have just got them both done at the same time, because it drives me up the wall. Can't stand it. So, and then I just thought, well, I'll just take the battery out because it's driving me crazy. But it's one of those ones that's hot wired. It's wired in. If you take the battery out, and it just keeps right on beeping. So it's annoying. But I'm hoping tomorrow they'll come take care of it so I don't go mental. Okay. So this next letter, the Lady Howard was writing to the Reverend telling her why she thinks it's a good idea for Evelina to go meet and confront her father. So letter 28, Mr. Villers to Lady Howard. So this is the Reverend writing back to Lady Howard. Berry Hill, May 2nd. Your letter, madame, has opened a source of anxiety to which I look forward with dread, and which to see closed I scarcely dare expect. I am unwilling to oppose my opinion to that of your ladyship, nor indeed can I, but by arguments which I believe will rather rank me as a hermit, ignorant of the world, and fit only for my cell, than as a proper guardian, in an age such as this, for an accomplished young woman, yet thus called upon, it behooves me to explain, and endeavor to vindicate the reasons by which I have been hitherto guided. The mother of this dear child, who was led to destruction by her own imprudence, the hardness of heart of Madame Duval, and the villainy of Sir John Belmont, was once what her daughter is now, the most beloved of my heart, and her memory, so long as my own holds, I shall love, mourn, and honor. On that fatal day, on that fatal day that her gentle soul left its mansion, and not many hours ere she ceased to breathe, I solemnly plighted my faith that her child, if it lived, should know no father but myself, or her acknowledged husband. You cannot, madame, suppose that I found such difficulty in adhering to this promise, and forbearing to make any claim upon Sir John Belmont. Could I feel an affection the most paternal for this poor sufferer, and not abominate her destroyer? Could I wish to deliver to him who had so basely betrayed the mother, the helpless and innocent offspring, who, born in so much sorrow, seemed entitled to all the compassionate tenderness of pity? For many years, the name alone of that man, accidentally spoken in my hearing, almost divested me of my Christianity, and scarce could I forbear to execrate him. Yet I sought not, neither did I desire, to deprive him of his child. Had he, with any appearance of contrition, or indeed of humanity, endeavored to become less unworthy of such a blessing? But he is a stranger to all paternal feelings, and has, with a savage insensibility, forborne to inquire even into the existence of this sweet orphan, though the situation of his injured wife was but too well known to him. Oh, so he did know she was pregnant. I couldn't remember. So he knew she was pregnant when he abandoned her. And the Reverend is saying, while I haven't tried to bring her to him, I never tried to keep her from him either, and he's never made any effort to see her or know her. You wish to be acquainted with my intentions. I must acknowledge they were such as I now perceive would not be honoured with your ladyship's approbation, for though I have sometimes thought of presenting Evelina to her father, and demanding the justice which is her due, yet at other times I have both disdained and feared the application, disdained lest it should be refused, and feared lest it should be accepted. Lady Belmont, who was firmly persuaded of her approaching dissolution, frequently and earnestly besought me that if her infant was a female, I would not abandon her to the direction of a man so wholly unfit to take the charge of her education. But should she be importunately, is that a word? Importunately. Isn't that importunely? I don't know. that she be importunately demanded that I would retire with her abroad and carefully conceal her from Sir John till some apparent change in his sentiments and conduct should announce him less improper for such a trust. And often would she say, should the poor babe have any feelings correspondent with its mother's, it will have no want while under your protection. Alas, she had no sooner quitted it herself than she was plunged into a gulf of misery, that swallowing up her peace, reputation, and life. During the childhood of Evelina, I suggested 1,000 plans for the security of her birthright, but I as ofttimes rejected them. I was in a perpetual conflict between the desire that she should have justice done her and the apprehension that, while I improved her fortune, I should endanger her mind. However, as her character began to be formed and her disposition to be displayed, my perplexity abated. The road before me seemed less thorny and intricate, and I thought I could perceive the right path from the wrong. For when I observed the artless openness, the ingenious simplicity of her nature, when I saw that her guilelessness, her I can't talk. I read faster than I talk. So I'm usually a word or two ahead in my mind as I am. I need to slow it down because then I stumble because yeah. When I saw that her guileless and innocent soul fancied all the world to be pure and disinterested as herself, and that her heart was open to every impression with which love, pity, or art might assail it, then did I flatter myself that to follow my own inclination and to secure her welfare was the same thing, since to expose her to the snares and dangers inevitably encircling a house of which the master is dissipated and unprincipled. Sorry about without the guidance of a mother or any prudent and sensible female, seemed to me no less than suffering her to stumble into some dreadful pit, when the sun was in its meridian. My plan, therefore, was not merely to educate and to cherish her as my own, but to adopt her the heiress of my small fortune, and to bestow her upon some worthy man, with whom she might spend her days in tranquillity, cheerfulness, and good humor, untainted by vice, folly, or ambition. So much for the time past. Such have been the motives by which I have been governed, and I hope they will be allowed not merely to account for, but also to justify the conduct which has resulted from them. It now remains to speak of the time to come. And here indeed I am sensible of difficulties which I almost despair of surmounting according to my wishes. I pay the highest deference to your ladyship's opinion, which it is extremely painful to me not to concur with. Yet I am so well acquainted with your goodness that I presume to hope it would not be absolutely impossible for me to offer such arguments as might lead you to think with me that this young creature's chance of happiness seems less doubtful in retirement than it would be in the gay and dissipated world. But why should I perplex your ladyship with reasoning that can turn to so little account? For alas, what arguments, what persuasions can I make use of with any prospect of success to such a woman as Madame Duval? Her character and the violence of her disposition intimidate me from making the attempt. She is too ignorant for instruction, too obstinate for entreaty, and too weak for reason. I will not therefore enter into a contest from which I have nothing to expect but altercation and impertinence. As soon would I discuss the effect of sound with the deaf, or the nature of colors with the blind, as aim at illuminating with conviction a mind so warped by prejudice, so much the slave of unruly and illiberal passions. Unused as she is to control, persuasion would but harden, and opposition incense her. I yield, therefore, to the necessity which compels my reluctant acquiescence, and shall now turn all my thoughts upon considering of such methods for the conducting this enterprise as may be most conducive to the happiness of my child, and least liable to wound her sensibility. The lawsuit, therefore, I wholly and absolutely disapprove. Will you, my dear madam, forgive the freedom of an old man if I own myself greatly surprised that you could, even for a moment, listen to a plan so violent, so public, so totally repugnant to all female delicacy? I am satisfied your ladyship has not weighed this project. There was a time indeed when, to assert the innocence of Lady Belmont, and to blazon to the world the wrongs, not guilt, by which she suffered, I proposed, nay, attempted a similar plan. But then all assistance and encouragement was denied. How cruel to the remembrance I bear of her woes is this tardy resentment of Madame Duval! She was deaf to the voice of nature, though she has hearkened to that of ambition. Never can I consent to have this dear and timid girl brought forward to the notice of the world by such a method which will subject her to all the impertinence of curiosity, the sneers of conjecture, and the stings of ridicule. So it's just like it would be so public, and then she would be a spectacle, you know. And for what? The attainment of wealth, which she does not want, and the gratification of vanity, which she does not feel, a child to appear against a father? No, madame, old and infirm as I am, I would even yet sooner convey her myself to some remote part of the world, there, though I were sure of dying in the expedition. So he'd rather take her somewhere safe to protect her from that and die to do it, to save her and protect her from such a public humiliation. You know, who knows how it's going to go. Far different had been the motives which would have stimulated her unhappy mother to such a proceeding. All her felicity in this world was irretrievably lost. Her life was become a burden to her, and her fair fame, which she had early been taught to prize above all other things, had received a mortal wound. Therefore, to clear her own honor and to secure from blemish the birth of her child was all the good which fortune had reserved herself the power of bestowing, but even this last consolation was withheld from her. Let milder measures be adopted, and, since it must be so, let application be made to Sir John Belmont. But as to a lawsuit, I hope, upon this subject, never more to hear it mentioned. With Madame Duval, all pleas of delicacy would be ineffectual. Her scheme must be opposed by arguments better suited to her understanding. I will not therefore talk of its impropriety, but endeavor to prove its inutility. Have the goodness then to tell her that her own intentions would be frustrated by her plan, since should the lawsuit be commenced, and even should the cause be gained, Sir John Belmont would still have it in his power, and if irritated, no doubt in his inclination, to cut off her granddaughter without a shilling. She cannot do better herself than to remain quiet and inactive in the affair. The long and mutual animosity between her and Sir John will make her interference merely productive of debates and ill will. Neither would I have Evelina appear till summoned, and as to myself, I must wholly decline acting, though I will, with unwearied zeal, devote all my thoughts to giving counsel. But in truth, I have neither inclination nor spirits adequate to engaging personally with this man. My opinion is that he would pay more respect to a letter from your ladyship upon this subject than from any other person. I therefore advise and hope that you will yourself take the trouble of writing to him in order to open the affair.